I am Lisa Bell here in the News 6 studios, and we're talking about hurricane season 2019. And we have Tim Trudell with us today from OUC, spokesman with OUC. And of course, power is perhaps one of the most important things to think about when a hurricane comes through. We hate to lose power when that happens, but of course it inevitably typically does. So tell us, if a hurricane were to come through, what should people be aware of? What should they do?
Well, certainly bring your patience. So here in Orlando, very transient area. So we've seen people come and go. We've had huge population growth here. So even the last major hurricane in 2017, some people probably didn't experience that. There was a huge gap between '04 and 17. 16 was a wake-up call because we had a very close call. But we ask that you bring some patience. Certainly get those kits ready and prepare for at home. Get your family plan together. But you also have to realize that this could be a massive event that hits our area, and once it does, we have a very comprehensive restoration plan, but it involves getting to those hospitals and fire stations, police stations, those emergency facilities first, and then we'll work our way into the neighborhood. So it could be a matter of days if it's a major storm.
And that's why so many people tell people to prepare for a minimum of 3 days of possibly being without power. After Irma, though, I mean, there were some people who were out for quite a while after that, it seemed.
Yeah, I mean, any day is too long, right? It's extremely hot today, so even not having power for an hour is a very big deal. We were fortunate during Irma. We brought in help from 17 states. It's a huge amount of resources that we bring into our area, and we're prepared way ahead of time. So you start bringing those resources in a couple of days before. They shelter in place, and then once those winds die down, you get out there and start working. But yeah, I mean, we were fortunate in the fact that I believe it was Sunday, the storm hit late Sunday, and by Friday afternoon, pretty much everybody was back on at OUC. And then we went on to help some of the other areas, but that's a long time for that. So that was our last major event that impacted a lot of our customers. So people have to get used to that, and seeing those things in 2004 was easy. And you have that huge break, and I think that adds to a little bit of complacency as we get ready for hurricane season.
And the challenge, too, is all these storms are so different. You can have a storm that strikes a particular area and relatively small geographic area, or you can have a storm that runs up the spine of Florida, which we've seen before,
Sure.
and affects a lot of people. And so that really complicates things for you guys as well.
Right. So does the storm come and pass through really quickly, or was it like Irma where it sat over us for 12 hours and 2 to 4 hours into the storm you still have power, and then 6 to 8 hours or 10 hours, and finally that tree branch comes down and takes out the power, and that becomes a very big deal. So the storms absolutely make a difference. The projections are always changing, and there's the build up to the storm, and we're watching like you guys are so closely and then reacting the best way we possibly can, and that's part of our preparation, I will say.
So in addition to having, your hurricane supplies, your bottled water, your food to get you through at least 3 days, what can people do like around their houses though? Obviously getting a generator could be helpful, especially if you have some special needs going on. But what about, taking care of their trees and making sure that they're in good shape before a storm hits?
Yeah, all that's important, and we have all that information, ouc.com/storm center. Information about how to use that generator correctly, because if you don't, you could get hurt, and our line technicians could get hurt as well, because you could do a thing called backfeeding into the system and actually electrocute someone. So we obviously don't want that to happen. There's things that you can do right now. Just think about it. Just paying attention to this right now might give you a few minutes to start thinking, okay, here's some things I need to do around the house. The trees are obviously an important thing, but just thinking about it, spending a little time with your family. What am I going to do? That's extremely important. That's why it's very good that you guys are doing this today.
So if your power goes out, what do you do? Who do you call? Where do you go?
Yeah, technology's changed a lot of things. We're more cognizant of our system than we've ever been before. So we can have two-way communication with our meters, and so things today are a lot more technologically advanced than they were a few years ago. Last year we implemented the way to text an outage to us at 69682. You can actually text my OUC, but part of that is registering your account today. So make sure we have all of your information so that you can make that text, that we know who you are. We know that cell phone number that's calling us. But there's a lot of different ways. Obviously, you can call us. You can report it via text or online. But I am letting you know that we know a lot of times today more than we ever have because we have better awareness of our system, just because the technology in the field, the meters that are out there are much more advanced, and it gives us a lot more decision-making abilities as we get in and prepare to deploy crews after the storm.
Which is really interesting. I mean, I'm sure if you compare, what happened recently compared to 2004, your ability to get the power restored was, I have to assume, it was cut dramatically in terms of the length of time.
Sure, technology helps, and again, that preparation. So as a utility, we're ready. This is an opportunity for our customers, your viewers, to be ready as well. But we have to make sure that we're ahead of the storm in terms of technology, because we bring in all those resources from across the country, right? So we're literally deploying them all over our service area. And we get to a point where, say we have 30 substations, 30 places that are independent throughout our service area. Those were like little mini command centers during Irma, where we would work out of the substation with a crew from, say, Detroit, and they're trying to help out in a neighborhood in College Park. So we would work throughout the system as we tried to get everybody back on in a reasonable amount of time.
Obviously, power is absolutely critical for people here in Florida, but it's also unbelievably dangerous. And unfortunately, typically after a hurricane, we do stories of people who get electrocuted or get severely injured by coming into contact with power lines, down power lines. So what is your advice? I mean, sometimes you can't always see them when they're down.
Right, but one thing that's really important, regardless of if it's a power line, a cable line, or a phone line, most people don't know, right? So treat every line that you see like it is a live, energized line. Call us, and we will work to get out there to deal with that. We'll send people out, what we call damage assessors, literally as those winds die down, before we can get the buckets up and all that stuff in the air. We have crews that are responding. They're looking at things just like that. Where are the key damages and dangers to our public? But yes, anything that you can do, anytime you see something like that, treat it like it's a live one, whether it is or isn't.
Yeah, and of course, again, it's just so sad sometimes when you hear those stories of people getting injured or people really not being prepared for being without power for several days and really needing it, their life depending on it. Some people need special medical equipment or other special things that they could find themselves in a lot of trouble if they don't have that electricity. And I'm sure you've had a lot of stories and heard a lot of stories about that.
Sure, yeah. I mean, you've got to plan ahead, especially if you're on that special needs list that you just mentioned. We can't promise anything when there's a major disaster in our area. On a day-to-day thing, there's things that we can do. But on a major event, a catastrophic storm, Cat 3, Cat 4, Cat 5, things like that, it really is up to the individual person to start thinking about things that they need to do to make sure that they're able to ride out that storm.
Well, Tim Trudell, thank you so much for joining us. We hope that we don't have to talk with you a whole lot during the 2019 hurricane season, but you're always everyone's best friend the minute those lights and that AC goes back on after a storm comes through and the power's restored. People can be happier with the power guys then.
Yeah, well, that's a really key point, though. These guys work 16-hour days. These are some of the hardest working people, and it's not just our line technicians because they are, but there's everybody around our entire business. You may work in the mailroom, and during the storm, you're delivering laundry to crews from Nebraska. Everybody plays a key part, and these people are away from their homes. They may have storm damage themselves. They're not able to attend to it. So we do ask for your patience, because absolutely I can promise you that they're working as hard as they possibly can.
Well, thank you so much, and good luck this year.
Thank you.